recent abc.html. Okay, first we'll start with what we did the other day, and we'll just keep building on that. So I'll share these two screens with you. Okay, is this visible? Hi guys, again, I'm feeling much better now. Thank you. Okay, brilliant. Shining upper side of the board. Is that going to be a problem? I can switch it off. Give me a second. Hopefully it's better now. Okay, great. I had switched on the, I don't know what lights these are called. Anyway. Cool. So what had we done yesterday? The other day, guys, we were making this beautiful registration form, and we saw that how we can use Flex and really simplify a lot of things for us, right? So basically building this kind of a layout where everything is positioned nicely, everything has good borders, and the button is looking pretty good. Used to look very difficult for us, but now things have got a bit easy. Why is that? That is because now we know Flexbox, and we can effect. Oh, brilliant! Mayank is saying that he made it himself. That's very nice, Mayank. So anyway, the point is Flexbox makes things easy, and we will use more and more of Flexbox as we keep moving forward into CSS. But today I just want to spend some more time covering a few miscellaneous topics of CSS, because we had not done them until now. And I think now might be a time when they will likely be very interesting for you. Okay, so we are going to talk about CSS selectors. There's something called as combinators. There's something called as classes you already know about. Then there are pseudo classes. And then there are, what do you say? There are events on CSS, right? So how we trigger things on those events is something that we are going to learn today. Okay, so before we do all of that, guys, do we had a class yesterday? I waited till 9:30. We didn't. Okay. I don't think people know about this. Probably you guys were not conveyed yesterday. Guys, I was out yesterday. I was not available. Basically, there was some problem at my end, so I could not take a class yesterday. I had asked Newton School people to convey it to you. Not sure how many of you were conveyed about the same, but that's what happened. Anyway, let's just move forward. Cool. So we made this box the other day. Okay, this is very surprising. Let me check with them again. I think it was conveyed to a lot of students. Guys, were you told that I will not be taking a class yesterday? Oh, you were told. Okay, some of you were told. How is that possible? Oh, after 9:30 p.m. I'm so sorry, guys, that happened. If you guys are available on Slack, probably I'll start posting if such messages are there. Do you guys have like a group where you can add me? Okay, maybe you can add me to that group later. Anyway, I'll discuss that with Newton School folks internally. That's what Shweta, I had told Newton School folks earlier. It was not up to me. I am not connected with you guys on any platform. So I had asked them to ask to tell you guys, but it's very surprising that did not happen. I'll again check with Newton School folks. Okay, ठीक है. let it be, guys. Let's now just focus on what we have right now. Okay, sure, Amit. Let's talk about this later. Let's just move forward a bit, right? Okay, so we had talked about this guy, and today the few topics that I mentioned, we will be doing those in greater detail. Okay, so let's do this. Do you want me to give a quick revision of what we did yesterday, since it's been a day, if you guys might have forgotten? Okay, you want me to revise once? Cool. Let's revise. Okay, so what have we done here, guys? Opening the code. Hope the code is visible for everyone. Right. So this is what we had built. Let me collapse everything else. Okay, so there was a class called form container. Inside that, there was a form, right? Which of course looks like this, right? This form. And inside this form, we had placed a couple of things. Now let's see what we have done here, right? So I created a class which is called form container, which is holding this whole form and basically this bordered part. So if we check the contents of form container class, the display is flex because we are learning flex. The border we've given as 1 pixel solid and this color, which is gray. This is the hex code for that color. We have then given padding, guys. Padding is set to 30 pixels, which means here, on the top and below, the padding is 30 pixels, okay? And of course, flex direction is columnar, which means everything will sort of come in this plane and not this plane, because this is row and this is column, okay? So that's the first bit. Second, what we did is just to give this nice font here, we have set the font size to 20 pixels, and we've sent font family to this particular font, which looks good, apparently. Okay. Right. And then, like I said, the outer box is going to align everything, this form container. Okay. So then I wrote the text registration form. I have specially specified the size of this guy to be 27 pixels. So registration form is now not 20 pixels, which was the style applied to the whole of the body, but it's 27 pixels. Okay. Then basically we created another class which is called form fields, right? So if you look at form fields class, what does it contain? The display is flex, the padding is 10%. We give the padding to just increase the size. And we are saying align item center, which means everything that is contained inside this form class, right? This class is going to look like this, right? So there is some space on the left, there is not much space on the right, and then these two things exist inside the form, right? So this pink thing that you see is padding. Okay, Hindi mix करो, ठीक है, Hindi mix करते हैं. ठीक है guys, तो हमने form fields देखा. अब form fields के अंदर मैंने क्या किया? Since form fields is a flex, and we know flex has a capability of dividing itself in ratio, right? So इसका मतलब ये है that let's say this whole row is of this whole row, no board. This whole row is of some flex value, right? In that, I say flex 2, matlab this part, the first name part, is inside flex 2, and then I say the remaining part, right? This guy is in flex, the remaining part, right? So if I've given it flex 5, if you check in here in the styles, and I've given this guy flex 2, which means they will be divided in the ratio of 2:7 and 5:7, right? Okay, so that is about it. Form fields had two things. The first one was this guy. Okay, this flex 2, which is this part, is essentially a blank flex. We gave that because we wanted to create a spacer, right? So it just sort of pushes it to the right side. Then you had form label, which had email, which are these things, which is flex 2, and this guy was flex 5, right? So essentially it just gets divided into that ratio, right? Of course, then there was the input elements, these input guys, and we have styled them like this, input boxes. So we've given them a padding of 12 pixel. So this is a padding of 12 pixel, and Of course, it's flex 5, like I told you. Okay. So going back down, finally, guys, we have put a button which is called register, right? This guy, and I gave it a class of nice button because it looks nice. Again, the things that we've given it: color white, color is the font color, background is this guy, and then padding is this much, whatever. And I have, so yeah, here one more thing to note. So this guy is applying two classes to it. So when you have to apply two classes, you just separate them by space. So this is class number 1, space, class number 2. Okay. So move to right. We have given justify content, flex end. So this whole flex, right? This whole row, in that, where do you justify yourself? You justify yourself to flex end. And that's how you make a registration form. Don't use inline CSS. Fine, man, we will not use it next time. But when you just want to quickly style something, it's kind of okay. So like here we have used inline CSS for very few things, right? Most of the things we have made classes for. I'm having problems. How did you line first name, last name, and email? Those are interesting questions, guys. ठीक है, देखो. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen? Okay. So let's say there is a container. This container is flex. Okay. How are you aligning? Yeah, I'll tell you. First, spell align correctly. Okay. So this is flex, right? It means whatever you write inside it, they will have the property. They will have a flex ratio property, right? How do you specify flex ratio property in CSS? You say flex. The hell is wrong with these? You say flex, nice, colon, and you tell it how much proportion of the total size you want to give it, right? Okay, so when I say flex 1, so essentially it really depends on the kind of values that you're giving, right? So let's say this guy had 3 flexes inside it, this guy and this guy, right? So if I give this person flex 1, if I give this person also flex 1 and this person also flex 1, what will the ratio that they will be divided into? They will be divided by 3, because 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So each guy gets 1/3 of the value, right? Now let's say you wanted a 70-30% kind of split. Okay, so which we have done in this one. In this row, we are using that 70-30 wala split. So how do you do that? Again, of course, you had a box, right? So you want this guy to be 30%, you want the remaining part, 70%, to be this guy. So what you can do is you can say flex, this guy is flex 3, and this guy is flex 7. Right? Here, what we have done is we have used 3 flexes and not 2. So now just look at the screen once. This is the whole thing, right? Form fields is a whole div. Inside this div, I have 3 flexes. The first is this one, right? You can't see it right now, but what we've done is we are giving it flex 2, right? Which means it's an arrangement like this. It's an arrangement like this. This is 2, right? Similarly, if you look at form label, guys, just check here in the class. Form label is 2 again. So this is also 2, right? And if you check the last one, this input, right? This is flex 5. So basically, this becomes big 5, right? And how do the ratios get split? 2 plus 2 plus 5 is 9. So this guy gets 2/9 of the space. This guy gets 2/9 of the space. And this guy gets 5/9 fraction of the space, right? That's how flex ratio works. It does not work basis on numbers, but it works basis on ratios. Understood, everyone? Now is it clear how I am splitting and how I am kind of aligning everything here? Okay, brilliant. So guys, बस इतना याद रखना है that this is one thing, flex ratio is one thing. I hope अब सबको clear है. हमें सिर्फ और सिर्फ इतना याद रखना है guys that there is a flex box. जिसको भी आपने डिस्प्ले बोल दिया, it becomes a flex box. इसके अंदर की जो चीजें हैं, right? They are called flex items. ठीक है, this is a flex item, item. Items पे आप रेशियो डाल सकते हैं. मतलब these guys can have the property flex 1, flex 2, flex 3, flex 5, whatever यार. ठीक है, and basically inside the flex box they will justify them, align them उस उतने रेशियो में, right? But on the container, this guy you can apply two properties. मतलब there are more, just अपने को सिर्फ दो जानना है अभी. One is align items, बहुत बार बात किया इसके बारे में हमने, and the other is justify content. Justify content. What do these properties determine? These two properties determine कि इन flex items के साथ क्या क्या हो रहा है. ठीक है, वो डिपेंड करता है guys flex axis पे. ठीक है, complicated नहीं है, सुनो एक बार. So if you say flex direction as row, it means this is the axis or the x axis. If you say flex direction as column, this is the axis or y axis. ठीक है, उसके बाद आपको आइटम्स को किस तरीके से अलाइन करना है. अलाइन का मतलब होता है इफ इट्स अलोंग द एक्सिस, दैट मींस अलाइनमेंट. तो गाइस क्या क्या ऑप्शंस हो सकते हैं? वी कैन से फ्लेक्स स्टार्ट and then everything will come here. We can say flex and everything will go there. We can say flex center, so everything will be centered, and similarly, right? Justify content की कुछ additional properties हैं. Properties हैं, center तो है ही, ठीक है. Then there is how do you want to space these? Do you say space between? Do you say space around? Do you say space evenly? A bunch of properties, right? So that's about Flexbox. Any queries, doubts? We've covered Flexbox in enough detail here now. If you have any specific ratio के ऊपर, किसी और चीज के ऊपर, just ask me. अब clear है everyone? How to give space in Flex? Padding यार, वो तो राहुल मत पूछो ना. आपको किसी भी कंटेनर के अंदर स्पेस देना है तो आपको पैडिंग देना है. Okay, don't worry. As we keep going forward, CSS में flex grow and flex wrap करेंगे, थोड़ा सा बाद में करेंगे. I mean, I just want you guys to absorb this पहले अच्छे से and then talk about. So flex grow and flex wrap, these are again flex properties, but बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किल नहीं है. So I just want to take them later, guys. Not right now. Could be slightly confusing for some people. अलाइन जस्टिफाई कंटेंट होता है एक्सिस के अलोंग. ठीक है, चलो देख लेते हैं एक बार जस्टिफाई कंटेंट क्या होता है. ठीक है, इधर देखो गाइस, आपके पास ये वाला फ्लेक्स है. ठीक है, दिस इज द फ्लेक्स दैट यू हैव फॉर्म फील्ड्स. ठीक है, मैं इसको बॉर्डर दे देता हूँ ताकि दिख जाए, और इन सब की मैं बॉर्डर्स हटा देता हूँ. अच्छा, वो क्लास से हटा रहे हैं. दिस वन, ठीक है. What we have done is we have basically put this guy inside a flex, right? अब इसकी properties देखो यार क्या क्या है. So of course it has a justify property. It can have several of these values, right? But now the flex direction that you have is columnar, right? तो अब column के around आप इस चीज को कैसे how will you distribute these two? That really does not make sense because ये दोनों already एक line में है. मतलब इसमें there are not much other things that we can actually align, right? But if you look at align items property, right, there you can do a lot of things, right? So basically you can say flex end, right? What that will do is that will take everything towards the end, right? Because I'm applying it on form. Okay, if you say flex start, everything will be towards the start of the flex, right? Similarly, if you say center, तो सब सेंटर में आ जाएगा. Right? And what we are by default using is stretch. Stretch means just place it evenly, right? So this was flex direction column, मतलब column मतलब इस axis में था, तो aligning of items इस axis में होगी, right? So ऐसे याद रखो, it's inverted, मतलब if flex का direction column है, तो aligning आप items करोगे x axis के along, अगर flex का direction और justify content करोगे along the axis, right? इतना ही है guys, not much complicated. Clear? Tejaswini, we'll review it, don't worry. Quick view of inherit. Your inherit का कुछ भी मतलब नहीं होता. Where we could have found code, whatever you taught. It will be, it's given here, yeah, every day. Justifies along, align is perpendicular. That's a good way to say it. Yes. Don't worry even if you are not understanding some part of it. Adil, I am telling you multiple times, please stop asking the same question. Every day at the end of the class, मैं code provide करता हूँ इसी chart पे. Okay. Okay. So we have just learned all of this thing, right? Now let's talk about a few more concepts of CSS. Okay, guys? Okay, let's run them. Can we make color? What does that mean? Do you want to make a new color? I mean, what is that? What is the question? I'm waiting, Avinash. What is your question? क्या पूछना चाहते हो भाई? Yeah, of course you can do that, right? We've done that. Okay, I don't think there's a valid question here. चलो आगे चलते हैं. How can you color the text? The same way you've done, we colored this text. We use the color property. We made this white. We can make this red. This is a text, you use color, you say red, and it becomes red. Is that what you wanted to know? Okay, anyway, let's go forward. Right. So now, I mean, CSS can do some very interesting things also, right? What are those interesting things? Why do you want me to create a separate file here? I think it's perfect. Everything stays in one file and you can just kind of use, we anyway don't touch the previous code. So the code is there with you. Why do we want to create a separate file? It is becoming confusing. Okay. If you insist. But I'll just copy this code and I'll paste it here. Okay, and it's a new file. That was abc.html. This will be def.html. Done. Okay, and I'll just delete everything that was present here. So things will possibly become easier for you. Everything is deleted, the page stays the same. Okay. What other properties that, there were some other properties that I wanted to talk to you about, right? Those properties are about CSS selectors, right? So guys, like there are classes, there is something called as pseudo classes, right? So let me just tell you what pseudo classes mean. So do we know what CSS classes are? Yes, of course we know what CSS classes are. Okay. So see, let's just take some time to understand this. Okay. I'm just going to pause the chat now for some time because I get distracted when you guys give a lot of comments, and this will help me to focus and talk to you guys for some time. Okay. So chat is now frozen. Okay. Now let's discuss this. Okay. So guys, and I'll remove these things also so that it becomes possibly less complex. ठीक है. Okay, so what do we know, guys? अब तक के लिए क्या पता है, एक बार सब देखते हैं. ठीक है. We know that hey, a CSS class looks like this. ये class क्या करती है? ये कोई property डाल, मतलब it allows us to provide some properties inside it, and whenever we apply this class यहाँ पे, that property gets applied to the HTML element. ठीक है. And what is happening now is there is a class which is form container, जिसको हमने यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है, and then form container का definition guys हमने यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है, right? This is what a class does. Okay. Now, what can happen at times is a CSS class, right? So essentially इस चीज को हम मतलब a class is a type of selector. Selector का क्या मतलब होता है guys? When we want to select an HTML element and style it, we apply CSS, और इस CSS का जो ये लेफ्ट वाला पार्ट होता है, this is called selector. ठीक है. तो अब यहाँ पे क्या सेलेक्टर है यार? यहाँ पे द सेलेक्टर इज टैग नेम. तो ये क्या बोल रहा है? बॉडी जहां पे भी दिखे, मतलब जो बॉडी टैग है उसके अंदर सबके साथ ऐसा कर दो. ये बोल रहा है जब आपको कोई क्लास दिखे जिसने आउटर बॉक्स क्लास अपने ऊपर लगाया हो, तब ऐसा कर दो. सॉरी, ऐसा भी हो सकता है कोई बोले कि भाई कोई आईडी है, मतलब लेट्स से बटन, लेट्स से देयर इज अ बटन, उसका आईडी है बिकॉज हैश स्टैंड्स फॉर आईडी, उसका कलर या फिर उसका आई डोंट नो, ये पैडिंग यहाँ से मैं निकाल देता हूँ और यहाँ पे डाल देता हूँ. ठीक है. तो अभी के लिए क्या होगा? पैडिंग हट गई बटन से. बट नाउ व्हाट वी कैन डू इज, हम उस बटन पे जाएंगे. दिस वाज द बटन एज वी नो इट, and I am going to say ID is equal to that thing, button C. You do this, the style gets applied, right? क्योंकि अब उस पे क्लास वाला स्टाइल भी अप्लाई हो रहा है और ID वाला स्टाइल भी अप्लाई हो रहा है. So that's how CSS selectors basically work, right? Now there are things guys which are called as combinators. तो जैसे आपके पास selectors थे, वैसे आपके पास combinators भी होते हैं. अब combinators को समझ लेते हैं क्या होता है. The word is combinators. It sounds like this, combinators. ठीक है. Combinators. Okay, what are combinators? By definition, combinators is something that explains the relationship between selectors. ठीक है. अब ये चार टाइप के होते हैं. ठीक है, समझो उनको. The first one is called a descendant selector. ठीक है. I'll just type them out, sir. ठीक है, थोड़ा सा theory है. The first one, and then we'll practically apply it. Practically apply it. Descendant selector. ठीक है. guys ये क्या करता है? ये बोलता है आपके पास मान लो एक div है, right? इधर आपके पास एक div था guys, ऐसा div था वो, राइट. इसके अंदर बहुत सारी चीजें थी. इसके अंदर एक p था, लेट्स से, मतलब दिस इज अ div लाइक दिस, एंड दिस हैड मेनी अदर थिंग्स, मतलब लिस्ट थी, कुछ कुछ था, और उसमें एक p भी था. सॉरी, p is not like this, p is just this, right? तो अब डिसेंडेंट सिलेक्टर क्या बोलता है कि भाई अगर आपको ये पी सेलेक्ट करना है ना, तो आप क्या कर सकते हैं, सीएसएस का एक ट्रिक यूज कर सकते हैं। वो ट्रिक क्या होता है? द ट्रिक गोज लाइक दिस, यू राइट द नेम ऑफ द टैग, राइट। मान लो आउटर, हमारे पास क्या था, हमारे पास गाइस आउटर बॉक्स था। आउटर बॉक्स क्या था, सॉरी, ओके आई थिंक वी रिमूव्ड आउटर बॉक्स नाउ। आउटर, ओके दीज आर गॉन, इनको हटा देते हैं, ये भी हटा देते हैं। Let's just see कि इससे कोई डिफरेंस तो नहीं आया। हम मतलब दैट टेक्स्ट गॉट रिटन व्हिच इज ओके, राइट। व्हाट आई एम गोइंग टू डू इज, आपके पास ये फॉर्म था एंड एवरीथिंग एल्स इज गुड। इस फॉर्म के अंदर ये फॉर्म फील्ड्स वाला टेक्स्ट है अपना, दिस इज कंप्राइजिंग ऑफ दिस फॉर्म, राइट। अब मैं ये बोलना चाहता हूं कि इस फॉर्म के अंदर जो पी है, राइट, दिस इज अ पी रजिस्ट्रेशन फॉर्म, हमने एक पी के अंदर लिखा है, देख लो, रजिस्ट्रेशन फॉर्म इज रिटन इनसाइड दिस पी। नाउ आई वांट टू से कि रजिस्ट्रेशन फॉर्म क्लास के अंदर वाला जो पी है, राइट, जस्ट मेक दैट एज आई डोंट नो, मेक दैट एज मेक दैट, उसका कलर रेड कर दो, समथिंग लाइक दैट, राइट। सो आप फॉर्म कंटेनर पे गए, राइट, आपने उस पर एक स्पेस दिया। सो द सिंटैक्स और द वे टू डू इट इज द नेम ऑफ द CSS selector space space P, then you give the text inside it. So I say color red. Go back to the page, reload, and आप देखेंगे इसका कलर रेड हो गया है, राइट। सो फिर से समझते हैं, नथिंग कॉम्प्लिकेटेड अबाउट इट। वी यूज्ड अ कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ CSS जिसको बोलते हैं डिसेंडेंट सेलेक्टर। अब भाई ये कॉन्सेप्ट क्या बोलता है कि पहले आप अपना सेलेक्टर बताओ। हमारा सेलेक्टर था भाई अ क्लास जिसका नाम है फॉर्म कंटेनर। तो हम बोलना चाहते हैं इस क्लास के अंदर के जितने भी पी हैं, राइट, जितने भी पी हैं उनका कलर रेड कर दो। तो गाइस इसका ये मतलब है, अगर आप इस क्लास के अंदर आप कहीं पे भी पी डालोगे, राइट, सो लेट्स से आई एम पुटिंग अ पी हियर, मैं इसको कॉपी कर लेता हूं एंड वी कॉल इट दिस इज अ सैंपल फॉर्म, राइट। इफ आई रीलोड दिस गाय आल्सो कम्स इन रेड, ठीक है। So this is an example of descendant selector. I'll just open up for questions. Chat is open. Do you have any questions, guys? सबको समझ में आया? Clear? बहुत सिंपल है, डिसेंडेंट सेलेक्टर है, कुछ भी नहीं करना, सेलेक्टर का नाम पहले लिखना है, उसके बाद जो चीज उसके अंदर सेलेक्ट करनी है उसको स्पेस लगा के लिख देना है, सिर्फ इतना सा है। अरे मंजीत भाई इसको क्या रिपीट करूं यार, सुनो, देयर इज अ CSS सेलेक्टर, जैसे फॉर्म कंटेनर था, उसके अंदर जिस भी टाइप का आपको एलिमेंट सेलेक्ट करना है उसको स्पेस लगा के लिख दो, और फिर उसके अंदर जो भी उसका स्टाइलिंग है लिखना है वो लिख दो। What that will do is that will select all those elements inside this container, inside that CSS selector. No, I never said that. अब एक बार ठीक है, someone has asked a valid question, क्या ये सिर्फ क्लासेस पे चलता है? नहीं, मैंने ऐसा नहीं बोला। आप ऐसा भी लिख सकते हो, बॉडी पी कलर रेड। अब इस चीज की कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है, बिकॉज ये वाला ये क्या बोल रहा है भाई, बॉडी टैग के अंदर जितने भी पीस हैं सबका कलर रेड कर दो। सो इफ आई रीलोड I should see no change. Did I answer your question, Kiran? Can't we style the P tag in the original class itself? I have no idea what you mean. I'm trying to teach descendant selectors here, and this is how they work. So what we can do, let's not worry about it, and let's just think abhi hum kya kar rahe hain. If there are many P, but I want to select a single P. Okay, valid question. If you have a single P that you want to select, why will you style it using a descendant selector? Descendant selector का use case समझिए। Descendant selector का ये मतलब है, let's say you had a list of buttons or something, right? And उन buttons के अंदर कोई particular tag था, आप उसको style करना चाहते हैं एक साथ, then you can simply say उस button का class space that selector. So this is a technique. right? So when you want to apply a same style to the child of an element, right? To all children of an element, you can use a descendant selector. Do you have to use it for anything? No, this is just a tool that I'm giving you. No, it's not used to style buttons. I never said that. Guys, simple है. Why are we complicating this? आपके पास एक CSS selector है, right? जहां पे भी वो मिलेगा, अगर उसके अंदर वो पर्टिकुलर चीज मिल गई, that descendant, that's why it's called descendant. Descendant होता है, descendant का मतलब होता है it's one member in the family tree. I don't know how to say that in Hindi. तो मैंने यहाँ इसका क्या मतलब है, भाई बॉडी टैग के अंदर जो भी पी मिले उसका कलर रेड कर देना. इससे ज्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्स नहीं है. लेट्स नॉट मेक इट मोर कॉम्प्लेक्स. No, I am again not saying it is used to select a particular tag. Please do not generalize it. P का मतलब है the second selector that you are putting. अब भाई again, what are you saying? Look at this. This is a selector and this is also a selector, but are they selecting the same thing? ये body tag को select करता है, ये form container को select करता है. तो आप technically तो आप ये भी लिख सकते थे. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ, बॉडी के अंदर जो भी फॉर्म कंटेनर क्लास है उसको ऐसे स्टाइल कर दो. Will this have the same effect? Yes, it will have the same effect. Let me come to that. इतना समझ लें guys पहले. Guys, do not complicate this. This is a very simple concept यार. आगे चलते हैं. Easy है, complex मत बनाओ. Just don't ask. Your questions will be answered. Just give me time. Let me talk about the 3 other categories and रुको तो सही भाई थोड़ा. Just say yes if you understood this. There is nothing complex about it. We can use 15 selectors at once. Hang on and let me teach. Okay? Okay, good. Now shut up. And okay, now I'll talk about the next selector. Okay? तो guys, ये था descendant selector. ठीक है? Descendant का क्या मतलब होता है? समझो. Yes, chat should be off यार, otherwise मैं पागल हो जाऊंगा. ठीक है, डिसेंडेंट का क्या मतलब होता है, बात समझो. Let's say this is a tree. This is a tree, right? और थोड़ा कॉम्प्लेक्स बना देते हैं. This is a tree, family tree, जो भी imagine करना है करो. Asking you a simple question. Is this guy a descendant of this guy? The answer is yes. क्योंकि ये इसकी ही family से कहीं ना कहीं आ रहा है, right? But is this guy a descendant of this guy? Absolutely not. Because ये दोनों same family. ये both of them have a common ancestor. But this guy is not a descendant of this guy. To open my chat, yaar. Everyone is clear with this? This guy and this guy and this guy, everyone is a descendant of all the parents above it. Right? Simple concept है. Complex नहीं बनाते. ठीक है? Okay, now shut up, stop typing and listen to the next one. So now, these 3 people. So एक चीज हुई descendant, एक चीज होती है children. ठीक है? आपके children कौन है? The immediate next of your kin is your child. ठीक है? तो are these 3? These 3 are the children of this guy. Right? These 3 are the children of this guy. Similarly, these 2 are the children of this guy. Right? Descendants and children. And now why am I talking about children? Because the name of the second selector that I want to tell you is called a child selector. Okay. What did you think? It was a theory class? Child selector. Okay. So what is a child selector? A child selector, a formal definition, the child selector selects all elements that are children of a specified element, right? Okay. तो गाइज इमीडिएट जो भी चिल्ड्रन होंगे किसी चीज के, ये उनको सेलेक्ट कर लेगा, ठीक है। अब इसको कैसे बताते हैं? इसको ऐसे बताते हैं, बॉडी मतलब द सिंटैक्स इज, इसका सिंटैक्स था स्पेस बिटवीन द टू सेलेक्टर्स, लेट्स कॉल इट, इसका सिंटैक्स है दिस गाय between the two selectors. समझ गए? चाइल्ड सेलेक्टर ये होता है, डिसेंडेंट सेलेक्टर ये होता है। लेट्स जस्ट सी इट इन एक्शन आल्सो। बॉडी को जब हमने पी किया इस तरीके से तो एवरीथिंग गॉट रेड, राइट? बट नाउ लेट्स से मैं बोलता हूं बॉडी दिस सिंबल पी, व्हाट शुड हैपन? दीज टू, इन दोनों पी पे स्टाइल नहीं लगेगा। क्यों नहीं लगेगा? प्लीज यहाँ पे देखो। अरे मैडम भागवती, आपको बोर्ड नहीं देखना है, जो कोड में लिख रहा हूं वो देखना है। सुनो, फिर से सुनो, प्लीज फोकस ऑन द कोड। डूइंग दिस यूजिंग अ डिसेंडेंट, व्हेन आई से भाई जो भी पी बॉडी का डिसेंडेंट है उसको रेड कलर कर दो, इट वर्क्स। बट व्हेन आई से जो भी पी बॉडी का चाइल्ड है, राइट, बिकॉज इट्स अ चाइल्ड सेलेक्टर, उसको रेड कर दो, दिस डिड नॉट वर्क। ऐसा क्यों हुआ? Amit gave a perfect answer. Let me just explain it for everyone. Guys, ऐसा इसलिए हुआ क्योंकि ये बॉडी है आपके ऊपर, राइट? ये फॉर्म कंटेनर है और इसमें कहीं पी यहाँ पे लाई कर रहा था। When you said descendant, हाँ, ये उस ऊपर वाली बॉडी का डिसेंडेंट है, बट ये उस ऊपर वाली बॉडी का चाइल्ड नहीं है, राइट? चाइल्ड कौन है? चाइल्ड तो ये दोनों है। और हमारे कोड के केस में कोई पी चाइल्ड था ही नहीं बॉडी का। सॉरी भगवती, योर नेम जस्ट मेक मी, एनीवेज माय बैड। अगर आप इसके अंदर अब एक पी लिख रहे हैं और उसको बोल दें दिस इज ओके हाफ हिंदी बॉडी वाला पी, ओके, दिस गाय विल कम इन रेड। क्यों भाई? क्योंकि आपने बोला है बॉडी के इमीडिएट पीस। चाइल्ड वाला कॉन्सेप्ट समझ आ गया सबको? थोड़ा कॉम्प्लेक्स है बट समझ लो, अच्छे से बता रहा हूं, ठीक है। अगर अब इसको हटा दिया तो अब हमने क्या बोल दिया भाई? हमने बोल दिया कि बॉडी के अंदर जितने भी पीस हैं, जो भी डिसेंडेंट्स हैं, डिसेंडेंट्स का मतलब अगर वो किसी और चाइल्ड भी हुए तब भी कर दो, ठीक है। सो नाउ यू रीलोड एंड एवरीथिंग इज राइट, कूल। डिसेंडेंट, चिल्ड्रन एंड ऑल गुड स्टफ। भैया सबको समझ में आ गया? बढ़िया बढ़िया बढ़िया। सर बॉडी वाले पी का कोड, भाई कोड दे दूंगा, पक्का दे दूंगा यार, प्रॉमिस कर रहा हूं दे दूंगा, बिना कोड लेके नहीं जाऊंगा साथ में, थोड़ा सा टाइम दो यार। कैन यू रिपीट इट वंस अगेन? यस आई कैन। I don't know what you guys are saying. Let me repeat. Okay. When you say body, when you say selector one, space selector two, it means all the descendants of that, of the first selector. Iska matlab, whatever p's come inside the body get a color of red, which works here, right? The only difference that happens when you do this, it means body, जिसके immediate child हैं p, उनको red कर दो. So when I reload, only this guy gets selected. ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? कोड में देखते हैं। इस बॉडी के अंदर सिर्फ एक पी है जो कि बॉडी के अंदर लाई करता है, बाकी जो पी थे मेरे भाई वो फॉर्म कंटेनर के अंदर लाई करते थे, राइट? एक पी यहाँ पे, एक पी यहाँ पे, इसलिए उन पे स्टाइल नहीं लगा। मैंने कुछ मिटा दिया, ठीक है। Yes, parents only adjacent child is child and hence it's called child selector. बढ़िया. थर्ड वाले की बात करें, डिसेंडेंट हो गया, चाइल्ड हो गया, बढ़िया. एंथू देखो भाई बच्चों का, सही है. अब देखते हैं किसमें एंथू रहता है. ठीक है, इट्स कॉल्ड एडजेसेंट चाइल्ड सेलेक्टर, और सॉरी इट्स, आई थिंक इसको सिबलिंग बोलते हैं, एडजेसेंट सिबलिंग सेलेक्टर. ओके, as the name suggests, इसका ये मतलब होता है, let me formally define it. The adjacent sibling selector is used to select an element that is directly after another specific element. समझ में आया? दोबारा बोलता हूँ. The adjacent sibling selector is used to select an element that is directly after another specific element. ठीक है? Siblings क्या होते हैं? If you have a brother or a sister, they are called your siblings. भाई बहन होते हैं siblings, बिल्कुल सही बात है. Sibling elements must have the same parent element, and adjacents mean, adjacent का मतलब होता है immediately following, right? Okay, so Bharti says node with same parent. So guys, इसका सिर्फ इतना सा मतलब है, इधर देखो, this was a parent, okay, it had two siblings. I mean, the parent did not have two siblings. ये दो siblings थे जिनका एक common parent था. ठीक है, तो if I write something like, अच्छा इसका syntax होता है plus. So if I say div plus p, ठीक है, तो ये क्या करेगा? This selects the first p element that is placed after div. ठीक है, क्योंकि ये क्या कर रहा है भाई, एडजेसेंट सिबलिंग को पकड़ रहा है ना. Getting my point? I'm giving you an example. This is the example. So when I say div plus p, it means it will select the first p element that is placed immediately after. बहुत सारे divs हो सकते हैं ना, तो जिस div के बाद, right? चलो खेल के देखते हैं. Okay. Show with tree example from board. I will do that. Hang on. Plus. You will never use this one. I just have to tell you, right? For your learning, but इसको you will never be learning, so don't worry much about it. Okay. So let me just give you an example. Right. इसको तो हटा देते हैं. यहाँ पे लिखते हैं कुछ. What I'm going to say is div plus p, right? And color is red. So now nothing got selected. Okay. Now let's try to get it selected. Right. So ये div था guys पहला body के अंदर. Right. ये div यहाँ पे खत्म हो रहा है ना? So if I just shut this div off and I say a p here, with my new paragraph, this p stands for para, or let's just keep it para. If you do this, this guy gets the red color, right? If you do, this guy does not get the red color. ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है समझ लेते हैं. ऐसा इसलिए हो रहा है because any p that is coming after div, right? तो आपके body में क्या था? Div था. Div के बाद जो भी p आ रहा है that will get selected. ठीक है, अब इसको देखो. This is a form style, right? Form style में बहुत सारे divs हैं. ये भी div है. What happens if I place an inner para here? My new inner para. ठीक है, reload. This guy also gets red color. ठीक है. So what it means is, if I give you the tree example, what it will do is it will check every sibling wala group. So what is a sibling wala group? These three are siblings. these two are siblings, these two are siblings, और अगर यहाँ पे भी कोई होता तो these two are also siblings. नहीं, more than one sibling नहीं होगा, सिर्फ अगला वाला सिबलिंग होगा. सो इट्स अ वेरी स्पेसिफिक यूज केस गाइस. अगर आपको आता है तो आप कभी यूज कर सकते हैं अपने स्टाइलिंग में, बट द पॉइंट इज इट्स वेरी वियर्ड. आई एग्री, राइट? सो दिस इज अ डिव. अगर ये पी है तो ये सेलेक्ट हो जाएगा, अगर ये डिव है, ये पी है तो ये सेलेक्ट हो जाएगा. इस केस में क्या होगा, क्योंकि इसके 3 बच्चे हैं, देयर आर 3 सिबलिंग्स, सो इफ इट्स अ डिव एंड दिस इज अ पी, देन इट विल गेट सिलेक्टेड. नो, ऑफ कोर्स इट हैज नॉट. इसमें लाई इनसाइड का फंडा ही नहीं है. इसमें फंडा है उसके सिबलिंग्स को देखो, ठीक है? एंड आफ्टर द लास्ट, मतलब आफ्टर द लास्ट, hang on, please don't text me right now, Pratik. After the last div, whatever p you find, it gets selected. ठीक है? Just next to the last div, so not that simple. If 2 p's, मैंने बोला ना, सिर्फ लास्ट वाला सेलेक्ट, मतलब सिर्फ फर्स्ट वाला सेलेक्ट होता है आफ्टर ऑल दो सिबलिंग्स. ओके, फिर से बोलता हूं, सुनो. इसका ये मतलब है कि जहां पे भी डिव वाले सिबलिंग्स बन रहे हैं, ठीक है, टेक ऑल द सिबलिंग्स दैट देयर आर, ठीक है, यू टेक ऑल द सिबलिंग्स देयर आर, एंड आफ्टर द लास्ट डिव, उन सिबलिंग्स के खानदान में जो आखिरी डिव था, उसके बाद जो फर्स्ट पी है, सेलेक्ट दैट. दिस इज व्हाट इट मींस. How can we select both sibling? Will you stop asking me stupid questions at this point, yaar? पहले ये तो सीख लो ना. I'll tell you about it. Why are you inventing new use cases? Guys, this is a very bad habit. Okay? मैं आपको कुछ समझा रहा होता हूँ, you don't understand that, and then you ask, ये वाली चीज कैसे करते हैं? What if you lose this? You should be worried about this, right? This is not an easy concept. Should we please pay attention to this? ये जो बता रहे हैं उसके अलावा कुछ और बता दो. What nonsense is this, यार? Coming back to the point, do we understand this? जितने भी एक तरीके, I am trying very hard so that you guys understand this. तो focus on this. Anyway, सारे सिबलिंग वाली चेन ले लो. उन सिबलिंग्स में जो सबसे फर्स्ट ये वाला एलिमेंट है, फर्स्ट पी है इन दिस केस, वी कुड हैव रिटन एनीथिंग, उसको सेलेक्ट कर लो. दिस इज व्हाट इट सेज, नथिंग एल्स. Means from code example which you showed, body was parent and div and p was his child. So as div was first child and its sibling is p, so it got selected, right? Do not think about parents here, do not think about children here, just think about siblings here. ठीक है? आपके siblings कौन होते हैं? They are the sons or daughters of your parents. That's a different thing. But just think, आपके जितने भी sibling हैं, उन मतलब जितने भी siblings हैं, right? Siblings एक parent के ही हो सकते हैं, ठीक है? जितने भी siblings हैं, उससे next वाला element select कर लो, and only do it for one element. That's all this means. Are we good? Shall we move forward? Got it? Just read about these things. Google पे search करोगे, मिल जाएगा, right? Okay. Finally, एक और बताता हूँ, ठीक है? Do you want to know this one? Let me tell you the name and then you can tell me if you want to know. General sibling selector. Shubham wants to know. Okay. The general, let me define it formally. बहुत जरूरी है वो चीज. General sibling selector selects all elements that are next siblings of a specified element. बहुत आसान हो गई लाइफ, राइट? फिर से बोलता हूँ. General sibling selector selects all elements that are next siblings of a specified element. After the previous one, this should look easy for you, right? And that's why I chose to teach you adjacent sibling selector सबसे पहले. So, putting it very simply, guys, अगर आप इस केस में यहाँ पे ये टिल्डे लगा दोगे तो क्या होगा? It will select both of them, right? Adjacent में क्या हो रहा था? वो सिर्फ एक को सेलेक्ट कर रहा था. जनरल में क्या है? वो उसके सारे सिबलिंग्स जो उस तरीके के हैं उनको सेलेक्ट कर लेगा, राइट? सो div tilde p means div के जितने भी p siblings है भाई उनको सेलेक्ट कर दो. Simple. After adjacent, this should be simple enough. Is this simple enough? Is it? Tilde. It's called tilde. T. Okay. Maybe it's a new symbol for some people. It's called tilde. What we can use is not something I'm here to talk about. जो हम बात कर रहे हैं उसके बारे में बात करते हैं. Let's not invent new use cases. Sir, Hindi not understand to me. Sir, only English, sir. पवन भाई हिंदी बोलूं कि इंग्लिश बोलूं? मिक्स बोलूं? अरे यार ये बहुत मुश्किल काम है. ठीक है भाई. Okay, Pawan says only speak English. Some people only say speak Hindi. Siddiq is saying Chinese. I don't know Chinese. I know French though. सर कोड में एक एग्जांपल देते हैं. लिखा तो किरण. This is a code example only, right? Okay, Ajit says, what is the difference between descendant and general sibling selector? Okay, that's a good question. Does anyone want to take this? Shweta, do you want to speak it up? I can unmute you if that is the case. Do you want to explain everyone? क्या फर्क है? General और descendant selector में और general sibling selector में. Sweta, do you want to speak it up? Okay, hang on. I'll unmute you and let's hear Sweta. Okay, how do I unmute you? Okay, you can unmute yourself now. Sweta, go ahead.
Yeah, hi Parikshit.
Hi,
So-
Sweta. Go on.
So what was the question, like descendant selector and general selector, right?
General sibling selector, what is the difference?
Okay, so basically like, yeah, so adjacent sibling selector is, let's say like, let's say me, I'm having two siblings. So after me, whoever is that, let's say I'm having sister after me, and
Correct.
after sister, I'm having one brother. So
Correct.
in adjacent sibling, my brother will get selected. And in general sibling, after me, two siblings are there, my brother and my sister, so both will get selected.
So the question is, what is the difference between descendant selector and general sibling selector?
Okay. So yeah, so descendant selector is something like just like parents in descendant selector is child of a parent gets selected, like something you can say just a second.
Sure.
Okay, yes. So descendant selector is something. Let's say I'm having grandparents. So my father is child to my grandparents, and we are like child or the children of my parents. So in the descendant, what will happen if my grandparent is there? Then my father, like father sisters, and we all, like maybe fathers, we are the children, and my father's sister's children, everyone will get selected in descendant. And in like adjacent sibling is just like, just as I said, my sisters after me, my sister is there, and after sister brother is there, then brother will get selected.
Okay. Well put. Let me put it in a slightly different words. You're now muted. No, they are not doing the same thing. Understand this. Descendant means the descendant of a particular node. So here you have the flexibility of saying कि मुझे इसी वाले नोड का descendant देखना था, या फिर इसी वाले नोड का descendant देखना था, right? Whereas in general or whichever sibling selector, you can not determine कि आपको पूरे ट्री में देखना था कि कहाँ पे देखना था. What it does is वो सारे सिबलिंग पेयर्स, मतलब जितने भी सिबलिंग्स एग्जिस्ट करते हैं उनमें सर्च करता है, राइट? While descendant is whichever node you pick. So I say this guy and वो उसके नीचे का पूरा देखेगा, I say this guy and वो उसके पूरे नीचे का पूरा देखेगा, without any regard to whether it's the next of some particular sibling or not. Got it? Ajit. It is a tree concept only. HTML is a tree, yaar. At the end of the day, HTML is tree. So can you write the definition of all selectors? No, I will not. I'm writing the names of all of the selectors, and I would expect you to go back home, Google them, and read more about them. That's why I will not write the definitions. So child sibling ka example and adjacent sibling ka example in code. Kiran, that's what the example we gave na, yahan pe when we were just playing around with it. Okay, I think I'll move on right now. Okay, okay. Some people are saying just hold on, guys. What I'll do is, I'll just give you 2 minutes. I'll mute myself. Just read this. Google karna hai to Google kar lo. Just take 2 minutes. We'll pause here for 2 minutes and then we'll continue. Okay. My screen is shared. Okay, guys, did we read through these selectors? I gave a little bit more time because, okay, you did, very good. I think these small breaks where you take the time to self-study are good, right? Yeah, I mean, it's not really practice, it's a concept, right? Because क्या होता है ना कि I'll tell you the honestly, you will never use these two. You will use these two बहुत ज़्यादा, and you will never use 3 and 4. Cool. Anyway, आगे बढ़ते हैं. ठीक है. So guys, हमने बात किया इसका. Now let's talk about something which is called as pseudo classes. Right? Pseudo classes is a cool concept. I think you'll love it. Right? इसमें क्या होता है? Okay, let me formally state it because यहाँ पे बहुत सारी definitions हैं. So combinators हमने पढ़ लिया. Now we'll talk about pseudo classes. Okay. What are pseudo classes? Pseudo class is used to define a special state of the element. इसका ये मतलब है guys, अगर आपने एक element के साथ कुछ particular किया, अब HTML में क्या होता है, whenever you are clicking an element, whenever you are going on top of an element, it gets to know that, right? Right? उसको पता लगता है that hey, this guy is crawling over me or this guy is clicking me, right? So what that means, people, is if you pseudo classes हमें क्या allow करते हैं? They allow us to change, मतलब to apply a style to an element when one of these events happen. ठीक है? समझाता हूँ. Okay, so pseudo classes बहुत सारे टाइप की होती हैं. मैं आपको एक बताता हूँ. So you're looking at this button, right? Okay, इस बटन पे कौन सा क्लास है पहले वो देखते हैं. So इस बटन पे there is something called as nice button. ठीक है? अब मैं यहाँ पे क्या बोलने वाला हूँ? I am going to say nice button. अब इसका syntax देखना guys. इसका syntax होता है colon, and then you spell the pseudo class. So I am going to say hover, right? इसका ये मतलब है whenever you hover something which has nice button class, तो उसके स्टाइल के साथ क्या करना है. And let's say I'm going to say भाई उसका जो कलर है ना उसको इन्वर्ट कर दो, बैकग्राउंड बना देते हैं व्हाइट, कलर कर देते हैं ये वाला, राइट? सो नाउ यू आर अबाउट टू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ फन. आई रीलोड दिस पेज. जैसे ही मैं इसके ऊपर जाता हूँ, समथिंग कूल हैपेंस, राइट? अमेजिंग, राइट? अरे कुछ तो बोलो यार, इतना कूल कॉन्सेप्ट बताया इतना आसानी से. So when you go on top of this, the color changes. I'll do you one better. ये अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, right? CSS की ही properties हैं यार, सब जादू नहीं है. Cursor and I say cursor pointer. इसका मतलब समझो. I go here, I reload. Now when I go on top of this, the cursor changes to that click wala arrow or a pointer, right? When you are on that element. So it just gives that nice effect. And this is how CSS is structured, right? It's pretty cool that way. बहुत आसान से इससे समझ आ गया ना? See how good I am. Anyway, now we'll do this. भाई अगर ये ऐसा करता है, hover करता है तो ये दिखाओ. अगर click करता है तो कुछ और करो, right? So let's say I say click. ठीक है? Click में क्या करेंगे? Cursor की जगह कुछ और करते हैं यार, कौन सा? Cursor. So there is something called as time. Wait, I'm forgetting the name here. Progress. ठीक है? And let's say that time the background becomes red. I think thoda red. We'll pick this color. Okay. I don't know how it's going to look, but let's try it out. Cool. I go on this. It's this. And when I click this, ध्यान से देखना. Okay. I'll have to remove over for that. And it is not working. Why is it not working? Okay, because there's a sad thing. You cannot have a hover class, which is you cannot have a hover class, which is no, it will still not work, right? The reason is, guys, in my excitement, I forgot to tell you that there is no hover class as click. It's hover, click nahi hota hai. Right? So cursor progress did not work. It's the same thing, right? And we ended up removing hover also. But how we can do that, I'll teach you that once we start learning JavaScript, okay? How we could have done that. But this is what I was going to do anyway. I'll show you. What was it called again? Cursor progress. Yes. So progress looks like this. Reload this. So this looks pretty cool, right? For that, JS is required. I'll be only teaching you, so don't worry. It's not going anywhere. But I hope you learned what pseudo classes are. Pseudo classes बहुत सारे type की होती हैं, right? And yeah, that's it about pseudo classes, really, right? When you do pseudo classes, you can do a lot of things. So I mean, I'll just give you another cool example of it. Let's say when you hover on top of this, इसके नीचे कुछ करके आना चाहिए, which essentially says that this is register button. Okay, just an example. Okay, let's try to build that. So I'll show you how to do that. So this is register. Okay. So what we are going to do is, okay, what we are going to do is we are going to, अभी के लिए if you reload, तो ये this is register button आ रहा है, ठीक है? I'll say इसका display. So I'll just give it a class. Let's say register class is equal to register, ठीक है? Register किया. यहाँ पे register and we'll say display is done, right? Which means ये नहीं दिखेगा, right? So this is not going to show itself, right? Now what we are going to do is we are going to put, I mean, this was P, right? That we had. I'm going to say that, hey, whatever P is inside this class, for example, right? So whatever P is inside this class, I hope we are following. I'm not making it too complex. I just hope. Okay. So whatever P is inside this class. So this is a class. इस class के अंदर, right? इस class पे जब hover किया जाए किसी चीज के ऊपर, guys, right? Just try to understand this. Hopefully it does not get too complicated, right? And I'll say hover. ठीक है? So whenever what are we saying? जब भी hover किया जाए इस particular class के ऊपर, you turn the display to let's say block. This will also do, right? So when you go on top of this happens. Is it cool, guys? Okay, today's mentor session is starting from 10:30.